What's up, dudes? I'm the Dominicator, also known as Master Dominic, and in this video, I'm going to hypnotize you to lift harder and to think less. And as in all of my videos, you'll be asked to leave a comment at the end while hypnotized, so go ahead and log into an account that you can use for that. Mute any distractions and continue when you are ready to get hypnotized. Alright, now to begin, just look at the pocket watch in front of you, and as you look at the pocket watch as it sways back and forth, the more that it does, and more that it seems to impart a kind of relaxing feeling to you, but the more that with each and every sway of the watch, you feel that relaxing feeling, you can just ease and sink even more into the kind of lull that it provides. It's the same kind of feeling that comes from the sound of my voice. There's a wonderful warmth and a feathery texture to it, a wonderful comfort, a warm and masculine dominance from it that just feels so good to feel. And as you just feel that wonderful warm and masculine dominant tone and texture from the sound of my voice, it just becomes even easier just to relax and just to sink back and to melt into that feeling. And as you take in nice and even and deep breaths in, you can feel the stresses and tensions in your body as you breathe in. Feel the cool and clean and purifying air coming into your lungs as you do. And as you breathe out, there's a wonderful and relieving and detoxifying feeling that just courses and surges through you. And as you just listen to the sound of my voice and that wonderful warm, masculine, dominant tone and texture from it, it just feels as if a kind of excitement and enthusiasm for weightlifting, a kind of sportiness, is dripping and dropping down on top of you, trickling down on top of the surface of the mind, and there's something about it that just feels so good to feel. There's a wonderful feeling of just being turned and morphed, twisted, shifted, shaped, and even more of a weightlifter dude yourself. Man, that just feels so good. It just feels so good. As you just sink and float down into that wonderful and nice and relaxed state, there's a wonderful, warm, masculine dominant, a comforting tone and texture from me, and from the sound of my voice, that just wraps and coils around you like a blanket, even more with each and every passing moment. It just feels even better and better. And as you float and as you just sink even more into that state, you can also feel even more deeply and even more intensely that mind-melting feeling and effect from me and from the sound of my voice, as if each and every word is a drip and a drop of heaviness, and of a mind-melting feeling that just drips and drops on top of your mind, causing all of the negative stresses, tensions, cares, and worries, thoughts inside of your mind just to drip down, drop down in you, and melt down, and they drip down and drop down and melt down and form a kind of fuel and an energy for the muscles and the muscle fibers of your body. It's as if all of those thoughts, unnecessary and irrelevant thoughts inside of your mind, are being turned into a form of fuel and energy for the muscles and muscle fibers of your body. And with each and every passing moment, there is a built-up and a winding up of that energy, the pent-up energy that just wants to be expressed, and that just wants to be expelled, and that just wants to be released. And with each and every single passing moment, the more that you feel that energy building up, the more that you can also feel a desire to want to express, and a desire to want to expel it. Now in a moment, then I'm going to snap my fingers and I'll say the word sleep. When I do, then you will drop down, sink down, float down, snap down into that even deeper, even more relaxed, passive and obedient state of deeper sleep, of a more drifting and dreamy feeling in which the sound of my voice will take on a kind of pull and magnetism and influence. And yet something about that one just feels so good. And feel even better. It would feel even better just to sink down and float down, drift down into that wonderful, deeply and totally relaxed state, as a wonderful warmth and dominance from the sound of my voice and my presence just coils around you and around your mind even more. That will just feel so good as in a moment I click my fingers together and say the word sleep, and then you will drop down into that even deeper and even more relaxed state. And that will just feel so good now. And now just sleep. Sleep. As you just go down, drop down, sink down, snap down and click down into that state. Just feel a wonderful feeling of relaxation of the mind, just melting, dripping, dropping down, and that wonderful warm energy down on top of the muscles and the muscle fibers of the body. And it's just such a good feeling. Such a good feeling. It takes you to such a good place. It feels as if you're compressed on all sides, but that awesome, warm, dominant, masculine energy, and the feeling, the presence of a dominant male authority figure to guide you. The presence of a coach, a mentor, a master. There's something that just feels so good about that, about having a coach, a mentor, a master to follow and to obey. And the more that you do, the more that it brings you into a better state of body and a better state of mind. And as you assume even more of that better state of body and better state of mind under the guidance and the domination of your master, the better and better it feels, and the easier and easier that it feels just to glide along this path and journey to even greater and greater feats of weightlifting, and an even better and stronger body, and even better look. There's something about all of that just feels so good, and knowing that you don't have to think about anything at all. You don't have to think about anything at all. All that you have to do is just follow the suggestions and obey the commands of your master. And there's something about that, and it feels so good, so relieving, and allows you to relax so much. All the thoughts just melting down, dripping down, dropping down, and just trickling down through you, forming that fuel and energy for the muscles and muscle fibers of your body. And you can feel it especially as it builds up and winds up in the chest right now. There's a feeling of pent-up, built-up energy inside of the chest right now. And then you can just imagine going into the gym and releasing that, and feeling the relief of that release. That would just feel like heaven. And as you drift and float, it feels as if you drift and float now into a different time and a different place altogether. And all of a sudden you are right in front of the time and the place in which there's a grand and a golden opportunity to do a workout for this given day. And that might be in the gym, it might be in your home, it might be in your home gym, or it could be outside, but wherever it is, you feel this golden opportunity to do this workout. Something has magnetically pulled you, tugged you, taken you here. There's that wound up, that pent up, that built up energy inside of the muscles and muscle fibers of your body, and today it just happens to be inside of your chest. And so as you go about your warm-up for your workout, and you feel that pent-up energy as it just comes to a point where it's almost brimming outside of you, almost gushing outside of you, and nothing feels better than that moment of relief when you assume the form of your very first exercise. It is a chest exercise, no matter what it be. It could be a machine press, and perhaps it is a barbell press on a bench. Maybe you're doing push-ups, but no matter what it is, as you assume the form of that very first repetition of the very first set of that very first exercise, as you do assume the form of it, and you can feel a rush of strength surging into the body and right into the chest, and the beginning of that release of that pent-up, that built-up energy. Man, there is even more of a drive that begins to just collect around you inside of your mind, to just release that energy and to feel the exchange of that energy for even more strength, for even more size, and for an even better look. There's something about that, and about knowing that with each and every repetition that you do, that you're making that exchange, that just feels so good. But also, in that moment in time, in that very first repetition, and you can feel a lingering presence, a feeling of that dominant and masculine male authority figure, and a feeling of your coach, your mentor, your master, right there beside you, above you, hovering all around you, and even inside you. And you can feel as, in that moment, you are issued a command from your master that you will perform this repetition, and you'll perform it with the best of form, to the best of your ability. And as you go into the motions, you ease into them, and as you come out, then you ease out of them, feeling the stress and the tension of the weight or the resistance inside of your hands and inside of the muscles and muscle fibers of your body as you do. And as you feel that, that feeling being what counts, and you can feel the exchange of that effort into the better size, the strength, and even better looks and aesthetics. You can feel as that exchange is happening and as it's taking place. And not only that, but there's a feeling of following and of obeying the commands I'm giving you even right now. And the feeling of obeying your master, and there's something that just feels so good about that. It just makes you feel like such a good boy. And knowing that as you're following, as you're obeying your master, and with each and every single repetition that you do, then it's leading you to a better state of body and a better state of mind. And then you're becoming even more of a weightlifter dude, even then. But as you ease into that repetition, as you feel the squeezing, feeling the compression, the strength, the energy inside of you, the tension as you go into that repetition, then it all comes to a point at the very end that switches and that changes right in that moment into an instantaneous moment of relaxation. Right in that moment, there's a moment of relaxation before you ease yourself back down. And as you do, you can feel once more that feeling of explosive strength inside of your body and inside of the chest, the pectorals, all the muscles and muscle fibers. As you just ease your repetition down, the contraction down, there's something about that feeling that just feels so good. The feeling of that force, about that power inside of you and in the muscles and muscle fibers of your body. There's something about it that just feels so good to feel, that it just makes you want to, and just makes you need to experience it even more. There's everything about the repetition that just feels so good. And going into it feels good. And feeling the power and the strength inside of you. And something about easing out of it as well. It feels good. The feeling at the same time that equal exchange of power as you ease out of it. And it is a different type of exercise. And that moment of rest in between each and every repetition that you get. There's everything about the repetition that just feels so good, and it just makes you want to keep repeating it. And as you do, then you feel a warmth that builds up inside of the muscles and muscle fibers of your body. A warmth that turns into a heat. And the more that you draw that warmth, the more that you draw that heat, the more that the muscles will grow. And the bigger that they'll get, the stronger that they'll get. And no matter how many repetitions it is that you're doing, no matter how much weight it is that you're doing, as so long as you do it to failure, then you will see more gains. As you draw out that warmth, and as the warmth turns into a heat, then there is something about pushing even further, and even more past and through these repetitions that just feels so good. Also the feeling of a driving force, a power all around you, behind you, above you, and even inside of you. The presence, the dominance of your master there, commanding you to push forward. You will continue to crank out these repetitions all the way to failure. And there is something, an echo of a reply and acknowledgement inside of your mind. And this is the words he has, master, that just seem to float up in a response to that command. And as you feel the driving, pulling magnetism that just pushes you, it pulls you forward even more, and even more, exchanging that effort for a better look, more strength, and more size. The more that you do, the more that it just gives you a wonderful feeling, a mind-melting feeling, and all of your focus and all of your concentration here, and on the weights and on the feelings and at the gym. And as your concentration, as your focus is brought towards them, it is all taken away from everything else. All of the negative stresses, tensions, cares, and worries, and they seem to melt away, form a kind of fuel and energy for the body. As you perform these repetitions all the way to the very end, as you come to the very last repetition of that's it. And you feel as that heat has built up or risen up inside of you, and then you squeeze out the very last bit of energy. The more that you do, the more you feel that heat, and yet the more that you feel an awesome, a wonderful, happy, satisfied feeling, knowing that as you do, that you followed and obeyed your master. That just feels so good. That just feels so good to do. And the more that you do, with each and every single sentence, the better and better that it feels. With each and every single exercise, you have the a really, really good, heartfelt feeling knowing that you worked out to your limit, and that because of that you'll be rewarded with even more size, even more strength, and an even better aesthetic. There's something about that just feels so good. But also, knowing that you followed, that you've obeyed your master in so doing, and there's something about that feels even better. Just being such a good weightlifter dude for your master. And that just feels so good, it becomes exactly what it is that you want to do. And there's something, a kind of echo inside of your mind that just pops up in response to each and every single one of these commands. It is acknowledgement or reply, and as the word yes, master. In response to each and every single one of those commands I give you, anywhere and any time that I'm present around you, and inside of the gym. And so in a while, I'm going to count you on from 1 to 5, and as I do, feel the lifting, rising feeling, and it'll take you back up. And you'll feel as you lift up and rise up and float up back up into the waking world, and there is an impulse that will form and fill inside of you. It is to leave a comment once you come back up. Something will seem to possess you right in that moment. You will leave a comment that says, yes, master, I will lift harder and think less. And as you leave that comment that says, yes, master, I will lift harder and think less, then it will happen, a wonderful surge of that negative stresses, careless thoughts, and relevant thoughts and worries will just melt down, form of a positive energy and attention inside of the muscles and muscle fibers of your body, and it will fill you with a desire and a want to release all of that energy and to work out. And it will just feel so good as you do, just following and obeying your master. Now, in a moment, I'm going to count from 1 to 5, and as I reach 5, you'll come back into the waking world. You'll leave a comment that says, yes, master, I will lift harder and think less. Now, beginning with 1, and as you feel the beginnings of that lifting, rising, floating feeling, takes you back up 2, even more, and further and faster. 3, already halfway there. Just feeling so good. And 4, coming all the way back up now, and 5. Eyes open and wide awake, my dudes. Alright. Like, subscribe, and check out Dominicator.com to schedule an appointment with me to get hypnotized or to commission a video or recording. Alright, catch you later, dudes.